Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you are all having a wonderful day. So, Kenobi, the series, we're going to be discussing the first two episodes. And with me, I have Nerd with a Cigar. Kate, how you doing?
Hello, hello. I am doing great. Glad to be here. Thanks for
Yep.
having me.
And to all you people out there who think Disney Star Wars is love, Disney Star Wars is life, Disney Star Wars is this, Disney Star Wars is that. Well, I do also have a special message for you now that I have the paid version of StreamYards.
Shut your fucking mouth! Shut the fuck up, you cunt! Shut it!
Lovely.
I love that from frickin' Bronson, man. But yeah, so before we do get into the meat and grind about the Kenobi series, I do want to state unequivocally that there's a reason why people need to pay attention to what came before Disney. Because if it wasn't for the stuff that came before Disney, Star Wars, Disney wouldn't have Star Wars. Disney wouldn't be able to tell a good Star Wars story. So unless you have things like the freaking visual dictionaries of the prequel trilogy, the expanded visual guide, the original visual guide, Jedi versus Sith, prequel trilogy, the books that are still considered canon, Book of Sith, Jedi Path, all this stuff. If you don't have this stuff, good luck trying to put together a valid argument as to against all these Disney shills out there. Because it pays to know your fucking lore. And that is something that me, Kate, and many others, people like OG, Stig Kenobi, and so many others have been trying to tell people who just blindly shill for Disney Star Wars. It's not Star Wars. And if you guys are saying that you like it or like Star Wars because it's Star Wars, I hate to say this to you, but the thing is, if you like Star Wars just because it's Star Wars, you are sounding like a person who is dumb enough to buy a jar of piss because it has the Star Wars logo on it. I'm sorry, that's just how it sounds. And yeah, also get the Kenobi EU book. That also goes through what Kenobi
Yes.
went through before episode 4. Now, a lot of people have been talking about Kenobi, so let's get into this. And let's say hi in the chat. I got Price is Right review. Good to see you. Vanja, always a pleasure. Michael D. Hacker, Angelus Draven. Yep, good to see you, buddy. And yeah, this show is so bad it breaches its own Yes, that is
Yeah.
something that I absolutely point out, and we are going to get into it in this review. So I watched this twice today. Each episode I watched twice. And Fuch Norris, good to see you. So yes, I watched both episodes twice. So once so I can just watch it through, see what's what, and then the second time to create the talking points and to take notes. And one of the things I found that I'm glad they actually proved me wrong with is the Grand Inquisitor actually did have dark side eyes. So I did make that note that I wasn't seeing dark side eyes in these trailers here. So then we see the show, and up close to him, you actually see that he has dark side eyes. However, they didn't give him an extended cranium, which I'm so glad I actually have my visual dictionaries out, because it just so happens that episode 3 comes into play here. You see, the Grand Inquisitor was not in episode 3. However, his species was. And a wonderful thing here. Let's see. 46. Page 46. Do a little bit of jumping, a little bit of jumping, a little bit of jumping. Elite clones. What page is this? 44, 45, 46. The Utapows. Now, if you look at these guys here, and it's even on the back end too. If you look at these boys' heads, I'm actually going to enlarge my screen here. So yes, look. They have taller heads. They have elongated heads. Elongated crania, as it is called. If we look at the Grand Inquisitor in the show, he looks like fucking Uncle Fester. What were your thoughts on that, Kate?
I felt like it was a cheapened version because we had seen them. If this is supposed to be directly after watching episode 3, and we see
10 years
their
later.
10 years later, but right, it's
Yeah.
like in continuity right after watching episode 3.
Sort of, yeah.
We have this like beautiful, alien species that we haven't met before, and we meet them in episode 3, and then we see them in the show, and it's like, wow, I feel like it's like somebody's cosplay version of it. And I don't mean to demean cosplay at all. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
I love cosplay, but that's what it felt like to me. Like it was a cheapened version of it. Like they didn't put as much effort into just their alien species and stuff. They put a lot more effort into random other small details that we can get into later, instead of actually creating continuity or creating visually something that was familiar. At first I was like, wait, is this a new species? And then I realized, oh no, this is the Grand Inquisitor. Okay, well I've seen him before in the Clone Wars shows
or Rebels.
Rebels, right? Sorry, Rebels. And I've also seen his species before in episode 3, so I know what he's supposed to look like. And that's not at all what he did look like, so it was a bit disappointing.
Yeah. So we see the opening credits. They actually do like a 3-minute recap of what went on in the prequel trilogy, all the way from episode 1 to episode 3 at the end. And then we get
unnecessary, in my opinion.
And then we get an additional scene for Order 66 on Coruscant, which was Operation Nightfall, where this Jedi Master was teaching a hand-to-hand combat kata to some Padawans. Now, a lot of people would be asking, why is this scene important? Well, the only reason why it would be important is to show that there were additional survivors to Order 66. Now, because you see this Jedi Master cutting through clones that were trying to get to him, and you see these kids take off. They don't bother taking off their damn helmets, but it's like, oh, well, you might want to keep them on. I mean, they might actually help you against blasters, but I don't think they will. And you see these kids run, and then we get to a 10-year jump to 10 years later, and we're on Tatooine with the arrival of the Inquisitors. And I will admit, as I said, they put in the Sith eyes to the Grand Inquisitor, but lacked the elongated crania, which is a problem when it comes to lore and continuity. Reva, the person that Disney warned that if anybody has any sort of critique against her, it's because she's black and it's because we're racist. Well, I don't care if she's black. In Star Wars, there's many a black character in that show, background and foreground, and guess what? Nobody gave a shit because they were great characters, with the exception of the Disney shit. You had Mace Windu, you had Lando Calrissian as the two biggest ones that come to mind. Yet you also have so many other characters that were all a part of even Disney's continuity. And I love how this Moses Ingram was her name, the one that plays the Reva girl. She says that she's the only person of color in Star Wars.
Wait, she
Have
said
you? Yeah, I did a video on it, and I'm like, you dumb woman, you very dumb.
that. Wait, did she
The
just ignore like
Lando,
everybody?
Mace, all the Disney trilogy black people, freaking Finn and Lando's daughter, every other minority character in the
Even
freaking universe.
even Poe is played by a Guatemalan, so
Yeah,
he's a
it's like, what's wrong with you people? Well, what's wrong with you, or when I say you people, just so the racists don't jump out of their skins. When I'm saying you people, I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about idiots. You know, if you're an idiot and you're thinking too linearly with your skin color, well, you're an idiot. So, getting back to it, what did you think of this whole scene where the Inquisitors come to Tatooine and start dragging in a Jedi? Freaking Reva just wants to slaughter. I mean, she's there. She's purely bloodthirsty, this character. And it's like, don't you know that you really should tone it down? I mean, wow. So what was your thought on the whole scene where they were flushing out Jedi?
I feel like they were trying to create suspense where it wasn't needed. We know certain things about the universe, right? We know that Luke survives. We know that Leia survives. We know that Owen survives. We know that the aunt survives. We know that everybody's pretty much okay between episode 3 and episode 4 as far as, certain characters go. And so they're trying to create this like false sense of, hey, this character's life might be in jeopardy. Well, no, we know Owen doesn't die. In here because we see him die in the future. So why would you even create this unnecessary scene of, oh, is Ben Kenobi gonna come out and rescue him after they just had the scene of conflict? You know what I mean? It just seemed forced. There was a forced conflict between Owen and Ben Kenobi, and there was a forced conflict between, having them show up on Tatooine, and I feel like it was unnecessary. I mean, the whole show was unnecessary, but having this scene where they just come in and they're like, "We're gonna come into Tatooine and fuck shit up," it was like, well, we know Tatooine is on the outskirts and the Empire doesn't really care about them.
They don't really operate out there.
Exactly. And we know it's too much energy for them to even get that out there to like mess with people, for them to even go out there. We know that from continuity. And now we're supposed to believe that they sent out 4 or 5 Inquisitors to go track down maybe some low-level Jedi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the critique on Reva, like if you're going to cast a female character, please try not to make her just like the angry woman in the background. And if you're going to cast a black female character in a series that you already know, people, like you had mentioned, there was already a warning, hey, people are not going to like your character. Don't cast her as the stereotypical angry black woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Fucking Lorena Creel said the same. I think it was Lorena Creel that said the same damn thing. Or was it Lorena or no? I can't remember who it was, but someone actually said that, and it's like, oh damn, yeah, they went there.
And I'm not trying to be mean, and
you're right. You're right.
I'm not trying to be mean because it like I was going in like, all right, well, I don't want to have an opinion before I watch this, and I had previously said that on my Twitter. It's like, can I just watch it before I have an opinion on it? And so I was trying to have an open mind going in. And I was, but then immediately, like first scene, I was like, oh God, oh no, oh no.
Yeah.
Diary of a Mad Inquisitor. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Now, at least they did have the Sith eyes to the Inquisitor. or Grand Inquisitor. I will give them that. Soon Kang as the fifth brother. Let me pull up a picture of Rebels fifth brother. Yeah, Soon Kang plays the fifth brother in the Kenobi series, folks. And well, yeah, let's see here. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do...
It seems funny that Disney wants to, play on the rebel side all the time, but when they act like the Empire,
Yeah, I know, right? So let me share my screen so I can pull up a picture of the fifth brother from Rebels. And then we're going to pull up a picture of the fifth brother from Kenobi. So share screen, Chrome tab. There we are. And yeah, does that... I mean, that's a badass looking character. And
Yeah,
don't
for
get me wrong, Soon Kang is a great freaking actor. I like him in the Fast and Furious movies and whatnot. But now, well, let's see what he looks like in Rebels. And tighten up that shot. Come on. There we go. And yeah, that's him in Rebels.
It's like it goes from intimidating villain to not so intimidating.
Yeah, it's like, guys, you have budgets that can go into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Please use it. Especially if you're going to make alien characters who have elongated faces, who are aliens. Stop sharing. It's like, if you're going to frickin' do it right. Well, it's different from animation. True. I will give you that. It's different from animation. But the thing is, when you have these motherfuckers who are not from animation originally, and they have the elongated heads, you make an elongated head for the character. If it costs a few $100,000 to get the makeup right, then fucking do it. It's called be consistent. So there, or after the whole thing in the saloon, Reva decides to want to slice apart this Padawan that they find, and the Grand Inquisitor stops her and refers to her obsession over finding Kenobi. Now, we don't even know what this whole thing is about. We do not know the source of her obsession yet. That, I'm guessing, is probably going to come later, hopefully, because the storytelling that they did in this was horrendous.
Honestly, I think that they're just going to keep it at what it was. Like that scene where he's like, "You're from the gutter, you're nothing, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
Which goes along with the Empire. They didn't, if you notice, the Empire didn't really hire or have anybody in their service who was of a different race other than like human or humanoid looking, other than Thrawn.
He was the only one that they respected. Any of the
Correct.
other aliens, including the Inquisitors, believe it or not.
Correct.
Even the Inquisitors were looked down on by the majority of the officers in the Empire.
Right, and that's why
it was a very specious thing. However, Reva's human.
Right, but I feel like they're trying to say the same. They're trying to say the same thing instead of. It's like they have to sprinkle everything with wokeness.
Yeah, they were basically saying, "Oh, we're looking down on you because you're stupid and you're from the gutter." It's like, oh, is this you guys saying that, or is this your version of racism in Star Wars?
Right, and I think that's what they're like, because I feel like
Urban?
just from the writing that we've gotten for the first 2 episodes, we're not going to get any in-depth explanation as to why people are the way that they are, even if it doesn't make sense. You know, I don't think that we're going to get an in-depth explanation into Reva. I think that they're going to make her a one-dimensional, angry black woman character. And if you don't like that, you're
Well,
racist.
according to the leaks, she redeems herself at the last moment, and Vader ends up killing her for it.
Of course. Wait. So they just stole the plot line basically from, oh, what's that video game?
Fallen Order,
Yes. So they
with
basically
another
just stole.
Inquisitor that redeems herself at the last moment, and Vader freaking slaughters her.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, is it copyright infringement if you're stealing from yourself?
No, but it just shows how pathetic they are when they have to steal from their own stuff. So,
Well, and to to go back on that like poor writing stuff, that early scene of that emotional like Order 66 would have been great if it had been followed up with good writing.
yes.
You get this an emotional opening and then nothing to follow it up. It just seemed empty.
Yeah. So then we get to Obi-Wan. He's out in the desert working. There's this beast in the desert where Obi-Wan is chopping up the meat with a bunch of other people, kind of like a little factory little thing. And he slices off a piece, wraps it up, and takes it with him. He sees that other people are suffering, where this guy gets only half of the payment. And he's like, I got a family. And the foreman just shoves him and is like, you want me to take the rest of it? Obi-Wan doesn't do anything. Befitting to his character, he wants to keep a low profile because he's no longer a Jedi. He needs to look over Luke. Now, also, folks, I want you to remember a fact from episode 4, A New Hope, a line that Alec Guinness expertly delivered to Luke. I haven't gone by the name Obi-Wan since before you were born. Now, that's an important line. In this line, or in this show, they're calling him Obi-Wan for a while. Now, a lot of people will say, I haven't gone by the name of Obi-Wan. Well, yeah, but he still responds to it. So there is that inconsistency. So now we see him go take his transport back to the city, and he gets to his Eope, which he had at the end of episode 3 when he was dropping Luke off as a baby. He then goes out into the desert to a nice little cave dwelling. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, well, where's the hell's the homestead? I'm guessing he didn't find the homestead until later, but that's or Disney canon, I guess, where he doesn't have the homestead until later, because from what I remember and from what I understand, Obi-Wan had the homestead ever since he got there. It was an abandoned homestead that he just took over, in the Dune Sea.
Yeah, I thought he like took over another hermit's homestead and kind of assumed the role of the new hermit.
Yeah. And so he rides out, and there's this Jawa Tika who's saying that he stinks, he smells, and he's selling him some wares and whatnot. Now, this is the very first Star Wars product in which the Jawa's language, Jawese, or Jawese, is translated and captioned. And it's like, if you knew how to do Star Wars, you would know that you don't need to translate for a Jawa, because they have a way of writing it so that what the person is saying to the Jawa, you can basically understand what that Jawa is conveying. That was one of the brilliant ways that they did things in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it's like, then we get a nice little throwback line to A New Hope. The Jedi are all but extinct because this Jawa is taking or salvaging some wreckage from a Jedi cruiser that it was out in the desert and whatnot. And it's like, yeah. And now I'm wondering, and they're like, well, yeah, there's Inquisitor and everything. And it's like, so are they going after the Jedi that they're looking for, that Padawan dude, or did they actually find Obi-Wan's old starfighter? But then again, he probably used General Grievous's personal starfighter to take Luke to Tatooine. But yeah. So then we see that he's having unsettled dreams of Anakin 10 years later. Now, for the most part of that whole little dream sequences where he was having those flashes were good right up until the end where you saw Anakin as a child. He wasn't around to actually see those moments of Anakin in the cockpit and Anakin doing those things. Every other scene that they showed from episode 2 and 3 was Anakin, or was times that Obi-Wan was around Anakin. So then he reaches out and he's like, Qui-Gon, are you there? And because we learned that Yoda was going to teach him how to commune with him. So then the next day, he goes to spy on Luke. And Luke is helping his uncle with some of the moisture farm. And then he runs away. And Owen and Beru are looking for him. And he's jumped up on the other side, pretending to be a pilot. And you see that Obi-Wan has a little bit of recognition how much he's actually seeing Anakin in Luke. So what the Jawa sold Obi-Wan was the T-16 Skyhopper that we see in A New Hope, where Luke is flying around an old T-16 Skywalker model. That happens to be the same toy that they're saying is in the show. So that was an interesting connection. Now, folks, do not get me wrong. I did not think that this show was good at all, for the most part. But there were sprinkle pieces in it that actually had nice moments. So that night, he hold on. So that night, he actually drops off the toy at the homestead on the outside. And then this is where this Nari, this Padawan Nari, was trying to get him. And he's like, you're looking for someone else. I'm not who you think I am. And when he can't deny it any further, he's like, what happened to you? It's like, we need you to rejoin the fight. The fight is over. We lost. There is no Jedi anymore. You want my help? Take this out into the middle of the desert and bury it. Stay hidden. Live a normal life. Now, while a lot of people have said that there were the reports on how Obi-Wan is broken and whatnot, and how he is just a broken man. Well, if they would not have reported on that, if they would have kept their mouths shut, meaning the people at Disney talking about it, Princess Leia becoming a baby Yoda of Kenobi, possibly, yeah. And it's good to see you, Becky. Always a pleasure.
God,
So,
I hope not, though.
Yeah, I know, right?
I have some thoughts on her.
Yeah. Now, if they would have shut their mouths and not have reported that, oh, he's going to be a broken man, all of this scene where he's talking with this Padawan could have simply been translated as he's trying to dissuade this Padawan from getting himself killed, and he's also trying to protect Luke. But because those dumbasses at Disney Lucasfilm had to open their mouths and say, he's broken. This is why he has such a defeatist attitude. Well, Sure, but he wouldn't have had a defeatist attitude. He had a purpose, and that was to watch over Luke for as long as he needed. So what did you think of that scene where he just has that defeatist attitude when he's talking with that other Jedi?
I feel like they're always trying to take your favorite characters and then just break them. We saw
Yeah.
the same thing with Luke.
Yep. It's Jake
and-
Kenobi this time.
Right, exactly. And so I think it's just the same thing over again. They're trying to give you your favorite character, but give him in a really sad, depressing way.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Kenobi that I was expecting to see was one that was in the desert flourishing, meditating in harmony with Qui-Gon Jinn and Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other Jedi that have been introduced, even in Rebels, we should have some of them, or even in communication with Ahsoka, especially if they want to go with that series.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Well, they would. It is part of their own continuity.
Right. Well, they broke their own continuity in this show, but so they can't be consistent. But
and we'll get there, folks. Believe me, we will get there.
So I was expecting, an Obi-Wan who was owning being an outcast. You know what I mean? Who was keeping a watchful eye on Luke while also maintaining his anonymity. We've seen him do Jedi mind tricks, so I was expecting him to see him do Jedi mind tricks to get out of sticky situations.
That foreman, I would have loved. It's like when that foreman was bullying that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, nobody's around. Okay. You will give him your fair or his fair pay or his full pay.
Right.
That would have been a perfect moment to do that.
And especially since this is the Jedi's, like bread and butter, right? If, let's say, you've had a man who's just spent, however many years at war, and then he's had to fight his best friend, everybody dies, and he's had to go into hiding and just meditate, and he's found out that he can just meditate in the Force. This should be, and he's had 10 years to do so, he should be like mentally strong in the Force. He should not be broken at all. He should be looking into the Force, looking into the future and into the past and connecting all the dots and understanding, okay, the Jedi Order needed to be clean slated. Okay, this needed to happen. Yep. Okay. He should be at that place where he's okay. And instead, Disney hands us a broken, sad, depressed...
Pale imitation.
Right, and it's sad to see. And it made the show really difficult to watch.
Oh, yeah. Because they're taking characters that we all love, and for some reason, Ewan McGregor agreed to do this. And so did Hayden Christensen. So it's like, you guys literally worked under George. You talked about how what is coming in this show does not happen. Why would you suddenly do it again? Well, it's a job. We're going to get paid. So does none of the lore mean anything to you guys? I'm just asking for a friend. But yeah, so he turns him away, and how he says the Jedi's time, or the time of the Jedi, is over. Well, isn't that a just big old callback to fucking Jake Skywalker? It's time for the Jedi to end. So then we get sent to Alderaan, where you think Leia is getting all dolled up, and then Bria, her adoptive mother, comes in. You saw Bria previously in episode 3, where you saw her briefly holding Leia. And then you see... How you doing, Becky? And, yep. Yeah, they took the money. So, you see her notice that it's not Leia, and she pulls over the hood, and she's like, she thought that you would find this amusing. And so we see that Leia has a bit of a wild streak, like her father, Anakin.
Well, and like her mother. I mean,
Yes,
wasn't it
the free spirit.
Padme who switched and even tricked the Jedi in Episode 1 with
Yep,
her handmaiden.
exactly. And this show actually, like I said, this show breaks canon to millions of pieces, folks. No joke. Millions of pieces. But there are some moments in there that we are not aware of. Leia's early life. We never learn about her early life in the EU. They never got to it. So we see that she's able to recognize certain starfighters and certain starships. And she has this little Lola, or this little droid Lola with her. And one of the things that is interesting is that they have, or as a punishment, she or Bria has Leia turn Lola off. This could actually connect to something that happens in Empire Strikes Back, where Leia develops a kind of lesser connection to droids. How she does learn that sometimes you just gotta click off a droid, where she does it with C-3PO. And that's my interpretation of it, how they have that little, just, it's the smallest thing, but it works. So what was your thought of the scene with Leia in the woods?
At first I thought I was going to like Leia. And I did like the, the free spirited nature, like you said. I thought it was a nod to Episode 4, when Uncle Owen is chatting and he said he has too much of his father in him. Or, no, I'm sorry, his aunt says he has too much of his father in him. And Uncle Owen says that's what I'm afraid of. You get to see a little bit of the free spirited nature of her parents in her. I thought they spent a little bit too much time on Princess Leia, honestly. The show is called Kenobi, and we got very, very little time with Kenobi in the first episode.
Yeah.
They played it up a lot, which I was willing to give them a few. I didn't want to be like super critic on it. I was willing to give them that. I liked the little scene with her droid. How that was kind of, it seemed like her friend. The only one who really understood her. When you saw her interacting with other children, for example, she
Mm-hmm.
didn't really.
Her cousin.
Yeah, she didn't really fit in with the normal. She was looking at bigger, broader things, kind of big picture stuff, like Anakin was.
Well, actually, the thing is, this is actually something that I noticed. When she starts talking with her cousin, when her cousin starts throwing digs at her, you're not even a real Organa, she throws it right back. But what she really does is, apparently, she's tapping into the Force without even realizing it. She's reading her cousin's emotions and not so much thoughts, but his feelings
Mm-hmm.
of how he's afraid that he'll never be as good as his father, and how or that's why you do what you do and whatnot. And so, yeah, you see Bale listening into this, but then they also have to scold her and tell her to apologize. But that is something that Leia was doing. She was tapping into the Force in this scene.
I didn't even catch that. No, that was a good catch. I did like the scolding and the discipline from her parents. Um,
Yes.
because you can be a free spirit all you want, but in order to be a good leader, which we've seen Leia be a great leader in the future, you need to have discipline. So I liked that early upbringing of, okay, well, you can be mischievous and run around in the woods and stuff, but also at the end of the day, you're going to have to look at somebody in the eyes and apologize to them when you did something disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought those were really good, important life lessons. Like, you know, I'm not trying to be a downer on the whole show. There were good scenes. There were good moments. And I think that was a good moment, was that disciplinarian. But no, I like what you said. Yeah, she was, now that I look at it, yeah, she was tapping into the Force. But I thought, you know, she's very, I just figured it's part of her like intuitive nature / you know, when she was climbing the trees and stuff. When you see Luke training with Yoda, a lot of it's physical and mental. So it would make sense for her to have, you know, a physical and mental leg up on the other children in her age group. However, it does seem counterproductive for them to build up her Force usage, especially
Yeah.
since Disney was the one that said, no, we're going to make it so that Leia didn't want to use the Force because she saw her son turn to the dark side in the future. You know, like it just seems,
Yeah.
why would you build up her using the Force and her being intuitive and her being physical if you're not going to use that? Goes against the continuity thing, like you said.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's see here. The scene with Bale, where he tells her, and she's like, "I'm not even a real Organa," and Bale, he's like, "Don't ever say that." It's like, maybe you should have asked why she said it to begin with. Now, because by saying or by learning, it's like you understand that she's in anguish because of her cousins basically spitting that or throwing that right in her face, but also him telling her, and when this is all yours and when you're able to lead like I do, your cousin's just going to have to deal with the fact that he's going to have to be living or listening to you after a while. And it is a nice little scene where it does cheer her up, and she does dote over her father. And it really does. It is a good scene. It's just they should have saved it for a different show, in my opinion.
Yeah, there were good scenes in the show,
Yeah,
but together it didn't work.
yeah. Now, another thing I will also take interest in, I did say this, I do find the Lola droid as interesting. And also, you do see a small little snippet of C-3PO translating between two alien species or ambassadors or whatever. Now, we then get to Tatooine, and Owen confronts Ben after you see that Ben's doing another shift at his work, brings it back to his noon, or brings some more meat back to his EOP, and you see the bag of the toy with the T-16 slam on the ground at Owen's feet, or not Owen's feet, but Obi-Wan's feet, and it's Owen. He's like, I just want you to leave us alone. He's like, this is just a toy. You know it's more than that. And he's like, there's much more to the galaxy than your farm, Owen. He needs to learn this. And we've talked about this. When the time comes, the boy must be trained, like you trained his father. And here's my question. How does Owen know about Ben training Anakin? Now, a lot of people might say, well, it's episode 2, where where Anakin was yelling about or was talking to Padme after he slaughtered the Tuscans. Well, I didn't see Ben or Owen or Beru in that scene. I saw Padme in that scene where she was talking about, or when he was saying that Obi-Wan is jealous and he's holding them back. But that's Obi-Wan, not Ben. Now, yes, they do know that Ben did indeed go by the name Obi-Wan, because Well, there is that scene in episode 4, A New Hope, where he says that belongs to somebody called Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Beru and Owen give each other knowing glances. But when it comes to him just hating on Kenobi, there's no established reason why he hates them, except for the fact that Anakin died. Yeah, but how do you know the circumstances of his death? You only know he died, but do you know, or how do you know how he died, you know? Do you know how he died? Do you know
Yeah, that was
why are you pissed off at Kenobi?
Right. There's that one-dimensional thing again, you know. Let's make this Reva angry person for no reason. Let's make Owen mad and create this tension for no reason. And I was really confused about the continuity of that. You mean to tell me that number 2 guy of an empire, like the like side-by-side dude to the Emperor, and for 10 years you've never heard of Darth Vader? You thought he was dead the whole time?
And we will get to that. Believe me, we will get to that because that's a part of the story in the second episode.
And yeah, like you said, how would Owen even know that Anakin died? Even if Obi-Wan had said, "Hey, you know, I need you to take care of this kid." Well, what happened to his parents? Well, I had to kill his dad. You know, like he wouldn't have told him that whole side of the story. You know what I mean? It would have been, "Hey, I need this kid's your nephew. Please take care of him." You know.
Yeah.
But the whole it was another let's make conflict where there doesn't need to be conflict kind of thing.
Yep. And so then, as he's leaving, well, the Inquisitors show up, and well, Obi-Wan's there. Now, here's the thing, folks. A lot of people would state the obvious here. Why didn't the Inquisitors sense Kenobi? Well, that is a weird question indeed, because apparently Kenobi can somehow just vanish from the Force, because they should have been able to sense him. Now, there was this leak that Drunk 3PO and them actually are reported on of how she senses Kenobi, but the Inquisitors are saying, no, you're not sensing Kenobi. We're stronger than you. You really shouldn't, or you wouldn't be able to sense him if we can't. It's like she knows he's alive, but it's not that she senses him. She just wants or knows he's alive because it's not stated explicitly. Now, Reva, or while the fifth brother is trying to tell people, you'll be rewarded if you turn in the Jedi. And Reva decides to just shove all this shit in his face. We'll start taking your hands. We'll start taking your body parts until you tell us where he is. And she just walks right up and slices a woman's hand off while the woman's trying to tell her, you have no jurisdiction here. Which technically is correct. So she just slices off the damn hand. And it's like, that is disturbing. She's bloodthirsty. Even the fifth brother is like, Reva, enough. And then she gets into Owen's face. And she's like, you got a Jedi hiding out at your farm? Y'all can either tell us where the Jedi is, or we're going to kill this man and his entire family. Well, here's the thing. Reva does something in episode 2 of this series where she pulls a Kylo Ren, reads a guy's mind to locate Kenobi. Why didn't she do this to Owen? If she would have done this to Owen, she would have known that Owen is indeed hiding his affiliation with Kenobi. And Luke would have been exposed to the Inquisitors. So, yeah, she knows how to do this, so why wouldn't she? It really is weird. So then the fifth brother starts telling her, your ambition, you're going too far. And she shoots right back, well, maybe you're not going far enough. And this is just, she's creating a character that I'm not really liking. So, what are your thoughts on that, Kate?
Again, I think that it's just that like one-dimensional, poor writing. I'd hate to just poop on the writing the whole time, but it really is because, okay, you're introduced a new character to the Star Wars world. Cool. Awesome. Star Wars characters love new characters to the Star Wars universe. That's like our, we love that shit. Look how Star Wars fans got behind Gina Carano's character, Cara Dune. We love new characters. Even The Mandalorian, we love...
If they're done right, yeah.
If they're done right. We've been introduced to Reva, and she has no motivation. She's just angry. She's become a stereotype, and it's only been 2 episodes. It's hard to see where they could really redeem themselves from this. And I was kind of looking forward. I was trying to have an open mind about it. But it seems that, she's being so rebellious and being so, I'm going to do what I want. But
Be damned with everything else.
Yeah, but there's no reason behind it. Like she didn't sense Obi-Wan there. She was just, throwing her weight around.
Exactly. And this is apparently she's able to sense Obi-Wan, but you couldn't sense when he was right fucking there?
Right. Yeah. So there's really no reason, again, other than to build this fake suspense that is just cheap and it's boring. Like, if you're going to build suspense, just do it, but do it well. Don't do it in this fake, fake way.
Yeah. So, apparently, according to the Sentinel, they pulled the bait and switch 90 seconds after the prequel recap ended. The black girl, youngling, is Reva. Now, if that's the case...
They didn't do a good job of showing that. I did not see that.
Yeah, they did not show that was Reva.
Did they say her name during that opening scene?
Not at all. Not at all.
It would make sense, though. That would be...
sure.
And who doesn't love a good redemption story? I mean, Star Wars itself.
Well, yes, this is...
six movie arc of redemption, but...
Yeah. This is going to be... Or, according to the leaks, she has Luke, Owen, and Beru at her mercy, and she decides to turn at the last moment back to good. She goes back to Vader. This is the leaks, folks. I'm not saying this is what happens. This is what they're saying happens in the leaks. And she tries telling him, I killed Kenobi, and well, he's obviously not going to believe that, and he kills her. So, yeah, that's basically what's expected to happen, shall we say.
Okay, let's say that does happen, which would be a cool arc. Make us love her or care about her in the beginning, and then make us hate her, and then make us love her again. I have no emotional connection to this character whatsoever.
Neither do I.
You know what I mean?
All they've done is make her hateful.
Correct. Yeah, if you're going to make that arc, cool, that's a great arc. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do it well and make me like her. You have not done that.
Exactly. Now, then we're back at Alderaan and Leia and her cousins, how they're the typical elitist pigs. We did cover a little bit of this. And then we get to the kidnapping, where this chase, one, is very cringe, but it is done in a way that's not too cringe, because Leia is using her small size to get away from these guys, sliding under roots, going under branches, going in between branches and whatnot. It's very clever, but she does end up getting caught by the same guy that played Needles in freaking Back to the Future 2. And it's like, damn, dude, you didn't age very well. And what the hell is with your wardrobe? It's like, what the fuck? I mean, and they have, or one of the aliens is very recognizable, where it's a Foch, or one of, if you've heard of Shadows of the Empire, it's the same species as Prince Zior of the Black Sun. There was a female version of that species. So she gets kidnapped, and, well, Bail calls Kenobi. And he's like, I'm watching the kid, or I'm watching the boy. Well, what about your duty to his sister? I don't have a duty to your sister, sorry. I have a duty to watch over this child here. You were supposed to be watching your kid. Why the fuck weren't you watching her, you son of a bitch? Well, that's basically how I would have handled it. But he just freaking guilts, and he's like, I'm not the same man as I was before, Bale. I'm sorry. Find somebody else. And then Bale just freaking confronts him directly. But before that happens, Kenobi comes back to the city after his shift, and he finds that the Jedi that asked him for help is strung up as a warning from the Inquisitors. It's like, why? I mean, unless you're trying to pull in the Outer Rim, the Jedi will not help you. This is what will happen to you if you support the Jedi. That's the only possible logic that I have for it. And then Bail confronts him directly. It's like, Bail, how the fuck do you know where Kenobi lives? I mean, okay, how does Bail know where Kenobi is? In a cave?
No fucking clue. Because the whole point of splitting them, and even when he's like opening the box and he hears like the alarm going off of the communicator, and he opens the box and it's like under something else, wrapped in a cloth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the whole point of separating the twins was so that you wouldn't have contact between the two of them. It would be easier to hide them than having, two kids at once. Now, all of a sudden, we're meant to believe that not only is this communicator not used for 10 years, but then all of a sudden Bail Organa just shows up in his cave, because he doesn't really have a home. He just has this cave that he hangs out in. What?
And it's like, how do you show up there, man? How did you know he was there?
That was one thing too. Is like,
did you backtrace the signal? Well, even then, you would have known it was just Tatooine. That's that's as far as it would go. A backtrace,
right? It wouldn't trace, or it would trace it to the system and not necessarily the planet itself.
Yeah.
So there's so many of these instances that I don't tracking fob.
Thank you, Mike.
There's so many of these instances throughout, and it's just been 2 episodes.
Yeah.
How do you have this much inconsistency on these details 2 episodes in?
What did Yoda say at the end of episode 3? Until the time is right, disappear. Mm-hmm. We will.
And we know the time isn't right because Luke isn't of age yet.
Exactly. He's like 9 years short of it. Right.
And so we know that the time isn't right because we've seen when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Again, it's building up this like fake suspense BS that I don't really care for, and that just ends up being boring. And it's sad.
Indeed. So,
because I don't want to hate Star Wars. I want to like it.
I do too.
I want to watch something that I'm like, oh wow, that was good. Like
I want Disney to fucking do it right.
Like Rogue One. Rogue One was good.
Rogue One was their best job at Star Wars.
They did a good job.
They did a good job, yes. However, it still does not jive with the original lore, but it's still one that I found a little bit of enjoyment in.
It's
It was a
because they
story
tried
that was
something new.
interesting.
Right. They did something. They tried something new, and it was interesting. Now with this show, it feels like they're just giving people what they think the people want, and it ends
Yeah.
up being trash.
You're not gonna, or we're gonna give you what you think you want, and what you think you want. Well, this is what we're gonna tell you what you want, and we're gonna give it to you. Is basically what they're doing.
Yeah.
So he convinces him to go back, and he also proves to him that Kenobi is broken. It's like, oh please, this isn't about the boy. We all made mistakes in the past. We got to get over them. Please help me. Now, I swear to God, I am so glad that Jimmy Smits did not say, "Help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope," because it's, or anything along the lines of that line, because it's like, well, no, not anymore, because Ahsoka apparently is still alive. You're aware of this, which kind of defeats the purpose of episode 4 with Obi-Wan being the only hope. Filoni, you seriously fucked up.
Yeah, because we know Organa and Ahsoka know each other from the Clone Wars show.
Indeed.
They've spent a lot of time together.
Indeed.
And for well, and another continuity thing. No, we'll get to that later in episode 2. I'll let you continue.
Well, we are basically, it's like, we are right there, because he digs up the lightsabers, and he pulled a Rey, folks. He buried his freaking lightsaber out in the middle of the desert along with Anakin's. It's like, why the fuck would you do that?
Yoda didn't tell him to give up the Jedi Order. He just told him to go into hiding.
Exactly.
So why would you give up something? And if you know the lore of the Kyber crystal, you know that there's like that bond and that connection.
Exactly. So that's how he actually is able to find the damn things, because he knows where his own damn lightsaber is. He'll be able to sense it.
So that's what was frustrating, is you shouldn't be running away from who you are as a Jedi. You should be pressing more into it as you're in exile.
Exactly.
But we saw him like give it up and then be forced to come back because Organa asked you.
Yep. Now, here's another thing. Reva talks to the kidnappers, and a lot of people do not catch this. He fought beside her father during the war. Now, people would think that Bail Organa is the one being referenced here. No. Bail Organa did not fight during the Clone War. He was an ambassador. He went to certain areas. He never raised a blaster, except for when they were trying to intimidate him during the Filoni Clone Wars. But he never fought there. He fought beside her father during the war. Is a very telling line that she knows who Leia's father is. This is just horrific writing. And then we see Kenobi going off to Daiyu. And that's the end of episode 1. Screaming over to episode 2, which is not any better, if you ask me. So yeah, episode 2, Kenobi leaving Tatooine. He's on Daiyu, which is a weird name, and he sees this old clone. Now, if you look at the armor colors, it's blue. He's 501st, and you're telling me that a 501st clone would not recognize the legendary Obi-Wan Kenobi, General Kenobi,
Right. Yes.
Even if he is downtrodden and on his luck, or down on his luck trying to get a good meal, he would have realized that that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he would have tried executing Order 66 because of their stupid chips in their heads. Because they went that stupid ass route.
I would have liked that scene if he were like a blind, if we saw him,
Yeah.
like if he were blind and crippled or something like that, and we saw him, Kenobi that is, look down on him and feel sorry and give him some coins. That would have made more sense. But yeah, due to the continuity that they helped write, they have that chip in their brain that makes them.
And not only that, if he was, or if this was a clone, he would still be in circulation. As old as he is, he'd still be in circulation in the Empire in some capacity, whether it be intelligence, whether it be training other troops. He would still be in the Empire.
I don't know if that's. I don't know if I agree with that, because it's another.
They don't have a retirement plan for clones.
No, they don't have a retirement plan for clones, but we have seen
a couple of older clones break out. Yeah,
right. We've seen a couple of older clones break out, but we've
Gregor,
also
Wolf.
If you wanted to, make a social commentary, you could make a social commentary on how governments don't treat their veterans correctly, and that's why I feel like the scene kind of stuck, because I have a heart for veterans a little bit. You know what I mean? But
definitely so.
Again, that scene could have hit a little bit better without breaking continuity if they had just changed a few of the details, because we should see scars of war on Kenobi. We shouldn't see him broken, but we should see scars on him from the war. We haven't been able to see him. We've seen him pre-war. We've seen him young as training under Qui-Gon. We've seen him in war, but we've never seen him like post-war and dealing with that. So this was an opportunity for them to really go into that and to see what Kenobi was like, how this strengthened him, where he was vulnerable, and then they just decided to give us a broken man. But I did like that scene. If they had just changed, like you said, some continuity errors in it, but it could have hit really well if they had done a little bit different.
Indeed. Now, we also see that Obi-Wan gets some free glitter stem because he's looking for his daughter and whatnot. And this pink-haired SJW-looking thing, don't know if it's a non-binary character or not. You never can tell anymore, people. She's like, well, if she's here, I used to be somebody's daughter too. So if she's here, you're never going to find her. And here, take this. First one's on the house. A couple more of these, you'll forget she ever existed. Gee, thanks. Gives it glitter stem, spice, yada yada. They're all variants of spice, to be completely obvious, or to be completely blunt, folks. But yeah, he gets a glitter stem, which is the pink stuff. Now, then we get the fake Jedi named Haja.
Ugh.
That scene was beyond cringe.
Ugh, yes. Ugh. They hired the
this
worst.
This is a Jedi mind trick. You are going to do as I tell you to.
It's funny how they're telling us not to be racist, and then they do the racial stereotype.
Obviously racist bullshit.
Right, like, oh, the Indian guy is pulling a fast one over on the tourists. Right.
I know, right? It's like, could you fucking go any racist than that?
It was so bad.
Shit.
That was the cringiest scene.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting Silk Road vibes. And
so bad.
He does his little magnets, and we see the biggest lore violation ever in this scene. Obi-Wan pulls a blaster on this guy, Anybody who knows Kenobi knows he only used a blaster once in his life. And that was to kill General Grievous.
And he didn't like it. He said nasty. Like, he threw it away like it was
He was like,
gross.
so uncivilized.
Yeah, he hated
Because, yeah, and that, if you read, in fact, excuse me, give your thoughts while I hunt this down.
Well, yeah, like you said, the whole scene was very cringy. It seemed like a cheap. It was like, oh, let's have a cute, funny scene. So we're gonna get this comedic guy to play this fake Jedi, and then like almost immediately he goes from swindling people to helping Obi-Wan without any transition. I don't know if you caught that too. It was like, why did we have him not caring about people and trying to screw them over to all of a sudden, okay, yeah, I'm going to help Obi-Wan for no reason at all. And I was really frustrated leading up to that when Obi-Wan, after he got his lightsaber back, he basically looked like a Jedi from that moment on. Yes, he was still wearing robes, but he was wearing like a hood up, and he was wearing his lightsaber on his hip, like the Jedi used to do 10 years prior. And I was like, so you went from being in hiding to not being in hiding, and then we know he was in hiding again until Luke meets up with him in episode 4. So what? Another continuity break, of just having it's like, well, what's going on? Is Kenobi about to draw a bunch of attention to himself and to Tatooine? Because why? We know that Tatooine didn't get any attention, and we know that Kenobi didn't have any sort of conflict with Vader between his time of training Luke and taking Luke away as a baby. So it seems, the whole show just seemed really unnecessary in my opinion.
Yeah.
It seemed really sad to say because it did seem exciting. It was like, oh, okay, so we've got, Obi-Wan and, Hayden Christensen back as Vader. Like, this could be good. And you could do some stuff with it. You could tell some fun stories. And they decided to tell the most boring stories ever.
Yeah.
And break their own continuity. And it's weird because I've read that they want to make a season 2, or at least Ewan McGregor does. And it's like, oh no. If you want to make a season 2, that means they've left it open in some sort of...
Yeah. Hold on.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Not quite. I went a little too far. Head. But anyway, I could essentially recite it from memory because I am that good when it comes to the prequel trilogy books. He thinks of the most vile insult he can muster when he said, or when he's regarding the blaster, so uncivilized. That is his most devastating insult when it comes to anything. That is Kenobi. And now that I say it, I'm probably going to find the damn thing. Yep, here, son of a bitch, right here. So he summoned a condemnation among the most offensive in his vocabulary. Uncivilized. Know your lore, Disney. Know your fucking lore.
Yeah.
He wouldn't use a blaster. He would risk exposure with his lightsaber rather than use a blaster.
And why wouldn't he use a mind trick on him?
That too.
Why wouldn't he sit down and be like, hey, I'm looking for my daughter, and then mind trick him?
He doesn't know if the guy can actually be trusted.
True.
So, yeah.
True.
So then he another question is, when he's paying for all this stuff, where did he get his hands on Imperial credits? Because if you watch The Bad Batch, folks, which is Disney canon, you learn as soon as the new regime takes over, they void out Old Republic credits and they add in Imperial credits. They switch the currency so that people trying to do illicit trade and whatnot can no longer do so. Where is Obi-Wan getting Imperial credits? Not on Tatooine, because Tatooine does not deal in credits. So yeah, where's he getting Imperial credits? That I would love to know this.
Right, because if he's getting paid to cut up a monster out in the middle of the Tatooine desert,
Yeah.
he's getting paid in whatever the local currency is.
Yep.
Especially
Now,
because they're on the Outer Rim.
Yeah. So then he gets into the into this little spice lab where he sets off one of the boilers, and he gets into the back area where there's some stuff, or where there's some cells, and these two guards, one is a Zabrak, and like Darth Maul, but not force sensitive, and another is just a human Asian guy that knows how to do kung fu. Well, I love how in this fight he he grabs the head of the Zabrak and slams him down, and he's like, "Oh!" If you paid close attention, when he slams that Zabrak's head down, he catches him by one of his horns. So yeah, that's probably why. Also, it could be that could be the fact that Zabraks are also known to have extremely hard craniums. And then this kung fu dude, when he does the two kicks, he's going extremely quick with his moves. But then when they cut to Kenobi, this martial artist literally slows himself down because he's dealing with Kenobi and whatnot, so that Kenobi can then get the upper hand, and then he's like, "Where's the girl?" And he looks like a freaking wildman when he says that. It's like, "Where's the girl?" So then we see that Kenobi gets caught by Needles and his crew, or they call him Vect in this one, though. And Kenobi breaks out by shattering the glitter stem, and he has to put a mask on because, I don't know, he couldn't hold his breath? Whatever. But yeah, they all get so freaking high in there because of the glitter stem. What were your thoughts on that?
Honestly, that whole bit, it was kind of boring for me.
Yeah.
They tried to make it like an action-y sequence, and I was kind of bored. I've seen a lot of memes in reference to Breaking Bad, with him with the mask on, which I thought were very amusing. And it feels like this scene was just like a filler for getting to him picking up, what he needed to, and meeting who he needed to,
Yeah.
and maybe they wanted to put in some action and some humor. It was kind of funny when he opens up the stem and everybody's just like you said, just getting high. It offered a little bit of a just a
Damn
chuckle.
Damn straight, Soul Assassin. I don't fucking play when it comes to lore and shit. I will use Disney's own lore against them.
Oh, for sure.
Now, as for Price is Right here, he asks, what do I think of young Leia? As I said, great casting choice. She actually does have a little bit of reminiscence and fire of Carrie Fisher. She also bears a little bit of reminiscence to Natalie Portman as well. So yeah, she's a great casting choice, just not in the right show. That's all, or that's my... Now, if they were to make a young Leia, awesome.
Right.
But this is a very bad idea, and I will tell you guys why. I swear to God, when we get to the end of this, or close to the end of the review, I will tell you why the Leia and Organa involvement in this show is the worst idea ever because it irrevocably breaks their own continuity and the continuity of the fucking movies going forward. It is a pure plot destruction. Having Leia and Bail in this show involved. Because if you know what, we'll actually get into it right now. At the end, he gets away with Leia. He's going to bring Leia to this other guy, and then they're going to get him back to Organa. But the thing is, Reva knows Obi-Wan rescued Leia. She's going to report this, if she's smart, to the Inquisitors. They know that Kenobi's there, and they know that it's an Imperial Senator's daughter. Kenobi just saved a known associate's daughter. Bail Organa was very friendly with the Jedi. Bail Organa is now on the radar of the Emperor and Darth Vader. Leia is now exposed to Darth Vader's presence. This, or also, not to mention, they would find out that Bail Organa sought out Obi-Wan. He knows where he is. And now, Bail Organa would be arrested and tried for treason and executed. So unless they're going to do this, which if they do, they destroy the continuity of Rogue One. Yeah, this was not the smartest plan. So when the next episodes come out, I believe, or the next episode is tomorrow. So if they do come out on a day-by-day basis, we will be doing these each night. Is that okay with you?
I'm down for it. I'm not sure about tomorrow night. I do have my friends are renewing their vows, so I will not be here tomorrow night.
Well, then we will do it the following night, where we can do 2 more episodes.
That works for me. Yeah, what it seemed like the first episode was breaking its own continuity, and episode 2 was just breaking movie continuity.
It breaks it all.
With it almost, you were like, it can't get worse after episode 1. It could.
Oh yeah, everybody says hold my beer on Earth. Over there, it's hold my Andorian ale or some other shit. But
hold my lightsaber. Yeah.
Or no, it's a drink that they would have to do.
Right.
But yeah, hold on. There we go.
Well, and we get this episode where you spend the whole time
with
it was
Leia and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and it seemed there was all of these little moments that were like super predictable. Like she's like, "Can you make me float with the Force?" And immediately I go, "Oh, he's gonna have to save her life and make her float with the Force."
Yep.
And later that episode, he had to save her life and make her
float
with the Force. Right.
And I do like how she is childish and ignorant because she's never been off Alderaan. She's sequestered on Alderaan because of who she is.
Right.
However, I do like how she's like, okay, well then let's go, and then she stops because there's an alien right in front of her that's like kind of grr, and he's like, now you're gonna listen to me. So we then also see that the Grand Inquisitor scolds Reva again, and he does the whole you're nothing but gutter trash, and you're the least of us, and we will take it from here. Obi-Wan, and she's like, I brought Obi-Wan here. I'm not going to stand down. If you don't, you're going to die, essentially, is what they're saying. They bring in the second sister. And so how does she do this? Well, she puts a bounty on Obi-Wan. It's like she has those idiots put a bounty on Obi-Wan Kenobi. And we see a Velociraptor from Jurassic Park as a bounty hunter. I am not kidding, folks. The Velociraptor bounty hunter. This is the head of a Velociraptor from Jurassic Park with a little frill or crest on its head, and he has a big-ass rifle. we see one of the famous droid bounty hunters from episode 4, which gets, I don't think it's the same one though. It's more black with green eyes, or not episode 4, but episode 5, when they hire all the bounty hunters to look for the Falcon. But it's like, are you kidding me right now? And Leia then starts reading Kenobi with the Force. How Kenobi does not sense this is beyond me. He would have realized that she is literally using the Force to read him like a fucking book.
Yeah.
And yet he doesn't pick up on it. And she's like, and then she draws her own conclusions and gets scared because she's like, they brought me here to get to you. You're the one they're after. Everybody's like, well, how does she know that? How does she know that? There are some naysayers out there that are just trying to bitch about it, just the bitch. And I'm saying, it's quite obvious, folks, if you look at it. Leia is Force sensitive, remember. She is naturally immune to any sort of Force influence, which also means she has incredible mental prowess. She wouldn't even know she's reading a person's intuitive or feelings. She would or as a 10-year-old, she's not even aware of the Force. However, she can still use it with. Now, does that mean, well, she does need training? Believe it or not, people did use the Force without proper training. Darth Bane used it without proper training. Everybody uses it without proper training. Anakin used the Force without training when he was 9 years old, racing pods. So yes, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Now, when it comes to Jedi mind tricks and shit like that, that requires training. It requires being able to tap into a person's mind to get them to do what they want. So if you want to try to say that my argument fits the Rey argument as well, no, it really doesn't. You needed to be trained to do what this kind of shit that Rey did.
And wouldn't Kenobi be closed off? Because he's been trying to shelter himself for 10 years.
Yes. Now, closed off from the Force, he never learned to close himself off.
I wouldn't say close himself off from the Force. I would mean put up more of like a barrier in the Force to people reading him. So that
would
only
amplify his Force signature.
True. For Force-sensitive people who knew how to read his Force signature. But this little girl was able to read him and his emotions.
Yeah.
And he should be, because he's Force-trained,
that should have jarred him.
Right. He should be able to control his emotions. Kind of the way that he was always telling Luke, control your feelings, but use them. He should be able to, as a trained Jedi, and especially, like I was saying before, having had 10 years alone, solitude, hermit, be able to be one with the Force and be able to, meditate and stuff. How is it that this little girl is able to read him like that?
And he's a Jedi Master, for fuck's sake.
Right, exactly. And not just any Jedi Master. He was on the Jedi Council.
Yeah, he was one of the top masters.
Right.
Now, we then get the Rooftop Shootout where he's using a blaster again, and then he has to focus so hard that he shits himself to save Leia. Not literally shitting himself, folks, but he's really trying to focus to grab her before she reaches the bottom, and then she floats, and he lets her down, and then suddenly he's running coming out from behind the building. How did he get down? If he's just having a hard time using the Force to stop her from falling, he's gonna somehow. What did he jump down? How did he jump down? How did nobody see him? All that other stuff. There is just so much wrong with this. And then, so now that she knows he really is a Jedi, okay, now Haja makes amends by saying, "Go here, go to there. It's automated. They'll find you if you try going here, and I will." Or there are people who still believe in or believe in the Jedi, basically, and go to this place. They'll tell you what you got to do. And he's like, "But you're a criminal. Why the hell are you helping me?" And Haja's like, do I like credits? Yeah, you get to buy things with them and whatnot. It's like, dude, really? This is just horrifying. Get out of here. And his standing up to Reva, he's like, "You have found me." What's with that voice? "I am the only Jedi here." She just slaps him against the wall. Reads his mind. Oh, okay. Now she knows where he is. Why didn't she just do that to Owen on Tatooine? Again, why didn't she just read his mind or Owen's mind on Tatooine? So then they get to the space area or the cargo port with Kenobi and Leia. And Leia is just acting so much like Padme that it gives Kenobi a moment of pause. And then the Inquisitor shows up, Obi-Wan, in a nice sing-song voice. It's like, this only works if you're dragging the tip of your lightsaber blade against the wall, like Anakin did in the Episode 3 novel when he was going after the leaders of the CIS, of the Confederation of Independent Star Systems. So she then reveals that she basically knows everything. You didn't know he's still alive. Anakin Skywalker is still alive. And I'm like, bitch, how do you know who Lord Vader is? Because I'm telling you right now, if you knew who Lord Vader really was, you'd be killed.
Yeah. Vader
would kill you.
Yeah.
Not only that, anybody else around who you may have told, he would slaughter them. The entire Inquisitor faction would be killed if there was a danger that they knew who he was. He killed Jocasta Nu in their own Disney canon when she was about to spill the beans of who he was. He killed her outright. His orders were to bring her back alive. He killed her so that no other clone around would know that he is Anakin Skywalker. So yes, if you're going to tell me that this woman somehow knows that Obi-Wan or that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader, explain to me why she is alive. She would have been slaughtered.
And explain to me how Obi-Wan doesn't know that Darth Vader is alive.
Exactly, as well. Now, I prefer the canon that is from the EU, where he knew months after the episode 3's end that Anakin survived.
And that's been my canon this whole time, and which makes the most sense. Yeah, okay, Anakin's going to take some time to get adjusted to his suit, get some healing, whatnot, be in the med bay. But immediately at the end of episode 3, they start working on their Death Star.
Yeah.
And
the frame is already built.
Right, the frame is already built, and we know that Vader is in charge of the Death Star. So all of the people, but he was working directly with Vader.
Yes.
So Vader, people would be working with Vader in rank.
Yes.
There's no way that Kenobi
Vader would have been a public figure.
Exactly.
10 years later, Vader would have been known throughout the galaxy as the Emperor's enforcer.
Yes, because
even with the Inquisitors around, they would have, or Darth Vader would have been known.
And especially if the Inquisitors go directly to Vader and you know, and
Yeah.
he's in charge of them. They would know,
Exactly.
oh, he's the head honcho, he's the scary dude, which is exactly the kind of dread and sense that we get in the original trilogy. Whenever Vader shows up, it's an oh shit moment. Oh, he's coming to get us. Oh, Daddy Vader's here to fuck shit up. You know what I mean? That's the
Exactly.
level of dread. So how are you mean to tell me that 10 years out of 19 years of Empire rule, we don't hear about Vader? You've got to be kidding me.
Right here, folks.
Right.
Anakin, according to the official Imperial record, including Disney canon, Anakin Skywalker was killed at the Jedi Temple during Operation Nightfall and during the execution of Order 66.
Right. And the official record was Darth Vader killed Anakin,
Yes.
which would make
Plus,
sense.
Leia is a
Oh,
Skywalker, so her
right.
power will be more stronger than. Yes, there's also that. Yes, she is able to read stuff, but she's also immune to force, or she's so immune to force persuasion that one time when Luke was trained and whatnot, he tried reading into Leia and he couldn't. She forced him out unknowingly. So yeah, Anakin died defending the temple. Exactly. The hero of the Republic died defending the temple because he was one of the filthy traitors. In fact, he was the filthiest traitor.
And that's why Darth Vader would kill anybody who even said Anakin's name, because he hated himself.
And even in as I said, there are the Disney comics where Vader is literally going up against the Amidalians. They knew he was Darth Vader. He slaughtered them. Padme's former handmaidens, plus Captain Panaka and other Gungans and whatnot. He slaughtered all of them when they said that we know who you are.
Yeah.
He slaughtered all of them. Anakin or Vader put down anybody who knew he was Anakin because he wanted to keep Anakin buried. Anyone who knew his identity is a threat to him. Anyone. Including Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, they're saying that Obi-Wan Kenobi will have this fight with Anakin or with Vader. There's just one problem. We already know that there's no fight between Anakin and Vader between the Death Star and Mustafar. So having this fight between them, we will get to that later on. There's just so much. They consider these books canon. They consider the novels to episodes 4, 5, and 6 canon. And in those books, they mention they did not fight each other until the lava planet was the last time they saw each other. They didn't give Mustafar a name during the publication of episodes 4, 5, and 6. But yes, there was no fight between them. Disney did not pay attention. So the Grand Inquisitor shows up to try to take, he's like, watch and learn. And then when he goes to use the Force, she gut stabs him and apparently kills him. Because when she runs after him, he's not moving, not even breathing. When she's running after, saying, you can't run, Obi-Wan, you can't escape him. We will find you, we will destroy you, and yada, yada, yada. Here's another thing. You literally made it to that ship before it took off. Why didn't you jump after it? Why didn't you use your little inquisitorial helicopter lightsabers? Why didn't you do any of that to try to keep going after Obi-Wan? Well,
they gotta drag it out.
Yeah. Just got to drag it out, and it's like, oh my God, we got to continue watching more of the shit.
Don't worry, we will watch it so that you.
We will, so you don't have to, folks. We will watch it so you don't have to. Folks, I want to like Star Wars again. I will always love the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the books, and Genndy Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. I will always love that. That is my canon. That is the canon. Filoni's Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and all that stuff, while it has entertainment value, that isn't Star Wars. This Kenobi show isn't Star Wars. And so let's finish up here. So Kenobi is on the ship. They're finally escaping. And Leia's asking him, "Are you all right? What's wrong?" And he says, "Anakin." And then you see Anakin, Vader, in his back tank open, or his eyes open, and you can hear the Darth Vader breathing sound and whatnot. And roll credits. So, Kate, how would you rate these, or the first 2 episodes, out of 10?
Ooh, I would say episode 1 would be like a 5 out of 10, and episode 2 would be
That's
a
generous.
4 out of 10. Yeah, that's being generous.
That's being very generous.
That's
How
being
you doing, Demogenai? Good to see you in the chat, buddy.
Only because I'll give it a chance to redeem itself, but it wasn't horrible trash, but it wasn't great. So yeah, a 4 and a 5.
As for me, I always do my 3-tier review, folks. I watched these episodes twice so that I could do this review. Once just to watch it through, see what's what, and then to do the breakdowns. Objectively speaking, episode 1 of Kenobi is a 3 out of 10. The story sucks. The contradictive writing breaks this story completely. There is just so much wrong with how they handle it. They're trying to use a Star Wars formula. However, they're trying to take shortcuts with it that doesn't work. They have never, in an entertainment medium, meaning show or movie, translated the Jawa language. They only did that in games like Star Wars The Old Republic, because you had a Jawa companion. You also could get a Mandalorian Ewok, too, if you actually played the game pretty well. But yes, episode 1 is about a 3 out of 10. Objectively. Subjectively, it was okay to a point where I will actually be generous and give it a 4 out of 10. Showgoer, where I am basing it on entertainment value alone. I am not breaking it down. I am not being biased of my fanship in any way. I am simply basing it on entertainment value. This is about an 8 out of 10. That's a showgoer, meaning I'm not just taking myself into account, I'm taking everybody into account, including the Disney shills. So yes, I will put it at an 8 out of 10 showgoer. Episode 2 is a 2 out of 10 objectively, because somehow Reva knows everything and is somehow still alive. They have broken the continuity so bad by involving the Organas at all with Obi-Wan. So they're going to have to show Bail Organa getting tortured or something in the next few episodes. And Vader showing up to go after Obi-Wan because he had to torture Bail Organa. That's the only logical area they can go with this now. But we will see. So, subjective with episode 2, I put it at a 0 out of 10. Because of Reva. It's not because Reva's black, as Disney wants people to think. It's because this show's continuity and lore sucked. The writing was horrible. The story was pure garbage. Now, the acting and stuff, that was fine. You got the little kid, Leia, good actor, good choice. Wrong show, like I said. Put her in a young Leia show. However, showgoer with, like I said, I'm not basing it on breaking it down. I'm basing it on entertainment value alone, taking into account other people, including Disney shills. I will put it at an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10. The showgoers are always going to be a higher score than objective and subjective folks. That's usually how it mostly is for the most part. But seriously, they completely destroyed, in 2 episodes, they destroyed their entire continuity of not just this show, but the movies. How is Bail Organa still alive after this? We're going to have to find that out. So we are going to take a break tomorrow because Kate has a thing with friends. They're renewing their vows and whatnot. Congratulations to them. And we are, I believe, they're not doing this weekly, but they're doing it daily. So that means, I think they're doing it daily. If somebody can confirm that, well, we'll see tomorrow morning.
Which, does that mean they think that it's going to burn out quickly? Because usually when something's dropped so quickly like that, means people are going to talk about it and then it's going to be done. And people are
well, they want it to go, or they want it to align with Star Wars Celebration.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But I just
However,
feel like
I will check tomorrow. If it is, I will let people know, and I will set up the stream for Sunday night when they show the when they have, or we can do 2 more episodes. She'll be, or Kate will be available Sunday night, hopefully.
Yeah, and that this overall, with my 4 and 5 rating, this show should not have been made. It should not have been made at all. We did not need this.
We really didn't. They should have just left it alone and said, we got a Kenobi book, read it.
Or, if you want to make a Star Wars show, there's a whole galaxy and there's plenty of timeline to pick from.
Yep.
You could have even gone Knights of the Old Republic if you wanted to go old school Jedi. You could go, even Mandalorian did, post Empire Fall in its own thing. There's so much they could have gone on, and they decided to go in an area that they didn't need to touch and decided to undo movies and their own shows. Well,
not only that, they also harmed their Rebels show, now that I think about it, because the episode where Maul versus Ben Kenobi is old.
Yeah.
Alec Guinness Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yet when he goes to check on Luke and Luke is being called in by Aunt Beru, that's a child Luke that's about 10 to 11 or 12 years old at most.
Right.
So in 2 years' time, Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to have to look like Alec Guinness.
The only thing I can think of is if he runs into, which couldn't happen, and it would be stupid if they did make it happen. The only way I can think of it happening is if he runs into the Emperor and he electrocutes him and does
shocks the shit out of him. Yeah.
Yeah, and because we've seen that it prematurely aged and made Palpatine look.
Well, that was also because it was reflected directly back at him.
Right, but I wonder. I know. Well, we have seen Luke get electrocuted and not age. So
yeah.
That's
also,
the only thing I can think of, though.
Yeah,
to age him,
that wrinkles and melts your skin. That doesn't make you look like a dashing old man.
Right. But I can't think of anything else unless he decides to take a bunch of spice and then it ages him prematurely about 20 years.
Okay, so according to Sentinel, Rebels takes place 4 to 5 years before A&H, yet they still do some time jumps here and there because she ends up having a kid at the end, and they do cover the Return of the Jedi stuff, and a Twi'lek has a human kid with green hair. But yeah. Orange Hat Reviews, Disney needs to get away from George Lucas or from George Lucas era or area. They need to focus on their own shit. Exactly, Damaj, and I 100% agree with you, man. I am with Lethal, you, OG, Stig. I am with all of you. I only watched this show just to see how bad it is. Also, so I could review it so other people don't. But I also logged into my friends to give them, or because they don't care about this shit. So my own account for Disney Plus did not taint, or was not tainted with fucking watching this.
The trash
Yeah.
that is.
No, yes, folks. I fully admit, as much as I hate Disney, I do have Disney Plus. And they are only getting $7.99 from me a month. I will not upgrade my plan. And in fact, if they try to increase the price any further, I will immediately cancel my plan. The thing is, I do it so a couple of my family members can also have access to it because they also like some of the older stuff that Disney has to offer, like Darby O'Gill and the Little People, the older X-Men animated series, the Spider-Man animated series. These are stuff that I also watch. I don't watch any of the new crap anymore because it's woke. So yes, as much as I hate Disney, I give them $7.99 a month. So if you want to call me a hypocrite for helping out family during very stressful times right now, if you think about it, go ahead. Call me a hypocrite. But just let me ask you something. Would you do the same if it was your position, or would you actually care to try to help out your family once in a while? I'm a very family-oriented person. But anyway, that is going to conclude our reviews. We will come back. If it is a day-by-day release, we will come back Sunday night, me and Nerd with the Cigar, and we will discuss this further for the next couple episodes. I'm guessing, because I believe it's only 6 episodes, that the Vader episodes are going to be the last 2 episodes. So yeah, we will look forward to, or I look forward to seeing how fucked up they screw this up. Anyway, folks, is there anything you want to plug, Kate?
No, not right now, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday night because at this point it's just going to be me eating popcorn, watching the disaster. You know, like those people that watch fires and houses, you know, burn and implode. That's going to be me watching this show. So even though drudging through it is not fun, it is fun to do these reviews. So
yes. Hey, it also provides content for the channel, and as a person who just got up above 1,000 subs, I'm going to have to get a lot more content out. I can't keep going days after days or in between days to get content out now. So yeah. Also, folks, as I did reach 1,000, I am going to reassert the pledge that I made. Bro, don't sweat these fools. Do what you gotta do. I gotta go to the movies because I like the experience. I'll be seeing Thor when it comes out. Yeah, same here. I'm gonna be checking out Thor, the 4th Thor movie, Love and Thunder, and I will check out other movies. I did get requested to check out Aquaman 2. As much as I do not want to see that movie, I got requested to do it, so I will honor that request. But as I am saying, folks, after reaching 1,000, I did make a pledge to the under 1Ks. You will get priority to come onto my channel if I do if I do huge streams and whatnot. Yes, I will bring on bigger channels, but they are no longer, or the smaller channels are more of a priority, because I want to build up the smaller channels as much as we can, because the bigger, or the more bigger channels we have, the louder and more influential our voices become. And then when we have thousands of YouTubers who have thousands of supporters, and yes, a few cross streams here and there, or cross supporters here and there who are the same for everyone, but still reaching others and more, will basically turn Hollywood, or Hollywood will have no choice but to look at us as, maybe we need to listen to them a little bit more than listening to the whiners. So yes, I will be bringing on smaller channels, boosting them up, trying to get them up, because we do grow together, we do rise together, and that is something that we need to do. I'm not calling out the bigger channels saying that they're assholes for not doing this. That is not what I am saying in the least. Believe me, there are great channels that I still pay attention to that are bigger than mine. Demogeny, OG Star Wars, Odin's Movie Blog, or OMB Reviews. A lot of them are still humble. They maintain their humility. They are great channels, and they even interact with the smaller channels. But I have seen other bigger channels kind of turn their backs on the smaller channels once they got into the more famous and thousands of subscribers and whatnot, and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. I'm not naming names. That's not what I'm going to do. That's unprofessional. But when people actually go out of their way to look at the smaller, interact with the smaller channels, those are people that I respect, because those are the ones that have truly stayed humble. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the review. Thank you so much for Kate for joining.
Thanks.
So we're going to keep doing this. And yeah, stay tuned. I will stay tuned for Sunday, or not Sunday, but Monday morning, Memorial Day mystery review. It's going to be a war movie. And Tuesday is the normal mystery review. Your only hint for this one, because it is still in May, will be Star Wars. You got one of 6 movies that it could be. So you're going to have to tune in to see which hint or which movie I do the mystery review for it. So thank you so much, folks. Have a great night. Demogeny, you also have a great night. Thank you to Demogeny, Soul Assassin. Who else was in the chat? We had Price is Right Reviews, David Kotler, Sentinel. Who else? We had a busy chat today. And I'm sorry I didn't get to as many of you guys as I would have liked. The Jason Lee Tucker statement. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you for the congrats on the 1K. Price is Right. Jacob Ironside, good to see you. CJH, thank you. Phil TMNT, always a pleasure to have you around, buddy. Mike, Vanja, and Angela Straven, thank you so much for coming in. JM 2021, thank you so much. CJH, I think I already said your name, but I did, or I gave you a double shout out. Becky Browand, thank you for coming in. Greg Z, thank you for coming in. And Ruben Thomas Official, thank you for coming in and chatting up. Fuck Norris, thank you for coming in.
That's a great name.
It is seriously a great name, yes. And okay, that is everybody so far. Thank you so much for coming in, man. Or everybody. You are all awesome. Thank you so much. Also, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart to get me to 1K. We're all still going to rise, folks. Have a wonderful night. And always to remember, stay humble.